Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Spunkify here for MMOHut.com. Today we're taking a look at Warface. This is the footage I was able to get from Warface, which is a new free-to-play FPS developed by Crytek at E3. And Warface actually aims to be a pretty unique or pretty cool-looking free-to-play FPS. The engine itself runs on the Crytek engine, Crytek 3 engine rather, which is the same engine they use in Crysis 3, the new one that's actually pay-to-play, or buy-to-play rather. And they've actually pulled over a lot of the cool, unique aspects from Crysis into actually Warface. So it's not just a simple shooter. There's actually different modes, a fully developed PvE mode with up to 5 players, and that's actually what we're doing right now. One of the first things I wanted to talk about right there is, as you can see, I can actually change my weapon attachments on the fly. So the rail, the scope, and I believe the muzzle you can all change on the fly, meaning that you can approach different situations with different loadouts depending on what you're up against. Now the PvE that we're actually experiencing right now, I felt was worthy of actually talking about. The PvE in the game is quite cool. It reminds me a lot of like the Left 4 Dead and Payday style games where you have to cooperate with your teammates in order to do the best. Right now, it's only 2 of us in here. These actually game modes are developed for 5 players in mind, and each player serves a different role. There's like a demolitionist. You also have someone who's a rifleman who gives ammo, someone who's a medic. You have someone that's like a sniper rifle, and of course that guy right there, he has a shotgun. So you have these different loadouts and different setups here, which means that cooperation is key because these enemies are no pushovers. I mean, right now we're trying to do it with just 2 people. But even with 2 people, this is incredibly hard, and it's designed for 5 people. Now, these mission modes, this isn't just like a campaign. Every day, these missions actually change, which allow players to come back every day and do something different in the game. You don't just have to PvP, you can PvE and actually have a different experience every day. Not only that, but it also obviously contributes to unlocking things, unlocking weapons, unlocking loadouts, attachments, etc. All the stuff that you would expect from unlocking PvP, you can also lock in the PvE modes. And they're fully fleshed out. It's a lot of fun. There's boss modes at the end. There's different objectives to do. And as you can see here, we're trying to figure out how exactly we're going to flank this guy here. I actually become the little bait, and the guy comes up and slides behind him. Yes, slides, and takes him out. So there are different routes you can take to actually get to the enemies, and different ways to actually figure out how you're going to do your objectives. So I was really actually enjoying the PvE mode in this, and I can see people with 5 friends really getting into this and doing it, every day or every night, kind of having laughs and just having a lot of fun with this. This is something that actually takes the game and makes it just the normal shooter PvP and adds an extra layer of depth to it with the PvE modes. Now the PvP itself was nothing to talk short about. It was quite fun. I enjoyed it quite a lot, and it reminded me a lot of the Crysis PvP, obviously with less super suit, nano suit, but more realistic. But it was a lot of fun as well. I just felt like the PvE stuff was something that's very worthy to talk about, and definitely more action than the PvP content that I was able to record. As you can see here, we're coming up here, and you'll see that green arrow right before I actually get bashed with this shield. He actually can bash you down here and then start beating you up. And in fact, if you don't take him out, he'll end up bashing your entire life, and you have to wait to actually take him out before you can start standing up here. The system of standing up and basically if someone's down on your team, what you actually have to do is you have to go next to them and hit E and actually pick them up off the ground, much like you would revive someone in like Left 4 Dead or Payday, etc. If someone goes down, you have to actually pick them up, and if you don't get to them in time, then they're out of the match until a checkpoint system. So the game uses the checkpoint system to progress. Once you get to a new checkpoint, if you're only 2 of you, for example, in this case, once we get to the checkpoint, anybody that's been waiting will actually be introduced as well. So you actually have you're not just going to have people jumping in. You actually have to progress to a certain point before they can actually join you, which helps not only if people need to respawn, but also if you need to have extra people join you in the game at that point. So as you can see here, my failed attempt of trying to learn how to actually jump over this. We could have just gone down the long way, but of course we can also take the sideways well in order to flank that gunner. There's different enemy types here. As you can see, we have the people that are on the guns, you have the people with the shields, and there are more heavily armed assailants as well. And there's also physics. So this guy here, ragdoll physics, flying through the air, pretty funny, and of course you can teabag, which is always needed in every FPS. So I really found that Crytek was trying to not just build another free-to-play shooter and kind of cash in on that market, but in fact trying to build something unique that had their stamp on it. And this game really aims to do that. There's a lot of unique aspects to this game, and it wasn't pay to win at all. From what I saw, he showed me a little bit of the unlock system, a little bit of the cash system. So how it's going to work is essentially you can do experience boost or in-game currency boost, like you can in most free-to-play games, to kind of boost your way, to gain items faster. Not necessarily gain more powerful items, but just gain more currency that you can spend faster. Additionally, in order to do the unlock system, the way the unlocks work is you essentially choose a item or a path that you're going to work for during a mission or during PvP. So for example, if I want to choose to unlock a weapon, I choose that vein, and that is what I will work towards during a mission. Additionally, if I don't want to do that, I have a good weapon, but I want to work towards unlocking like a different body armor type or a different ammo type or something that's different other than weapons, I can choose that. I can actually change that around before the mission begins, and that is what my experience will be put towards. That is what my actual thing will be put towards. So I can choose what I want to unlock and actually tailor how I unlock and change my character based on what I want, not just based on what the game has preset for me to unlock. So it really gives you a sense of control over what you actually are obtaining, rather than just obtaining everything that becomes available at your level. And I thought that was a nice system. And the animations in the game, the graphics are amazing. And I asked Crytek, how exactly do they, obviously a lot of people who play free-to-play games, how exactly are they going to allow people to play who have mediocre computers? And they told me that while this does use the Crysis engine, it's not fully, Crysis 3 graphics. So most people will be able to play the game with medium range settings, etc. And in fact, when I looked at the game, as you can see, this game does not look bad at all. This is actually a very good looking game, despite the fact that the graphics aren't as high as Crysis 3. This is one of the better looking FPSs that are currently going to be available. Now, the game currently is available in Russia, and they've had huge response in Russia. I think 1 million players have signed up to play it in Russia, which is quite good. As you can see here, here's an example of the demolition expert putting down the explosion, and me standing way too close there after the explosion. So you do need to cooperate in order to actually open up these areas and push forwards. Now, if you don't have all 5 of your teammates, you will be able to still progress. Obviously, if you need to put down C4 and you don't have someone who has C4 on your team, you'll be given that option to do that as well. But I just like that there's these multi-stage events, and you're progressing through this level seamlessly without any loading screens, etc. And it feels like this is meant to be its own game mode. It doesn't feel like it's tacked on to the PvP. It feels like they really put as much time into this as they did the PvP aspects of the game. And I am thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I did it twice, and I found that the experience was never the same in both times. And of course, there's also melon physics. Who doesn't like melon physics? Blowing up melons and boxes, etc. Always got to have that, in any game. Melon physics, #1 priority. Throwing grenades, the physics in general are just pretty amazing. As you can see, blow people around. A lot of fun. Like my allies down here, I can just pick them up. But when they were showing me the interface here, there was multiple missions to choose from a day, and those will cycle, which I thought was always nice. Again, different experience every day. As far as the game launch date, they didn't really talk about when the launch actually was. We do know that it's sometime this year, probably late summer, early fall, etc. But we should expect, now that E3 is done, to have beta signups for English, participants in AEU fairly soon. I believe that's when Crytek aim to actually release it, and they're actually going to release it in conjunction with Tryon, the same people behind Rift and the upcoming free-to-play RTS Rise of Nations, or End of Nations. Sorry, Rise of Nations, different game. End of Nations. Now, as we're coming up here, there's the evacuation in the distance. But what is a game mode like this without a boss or a tank? So upcoming here, we're going to actually have a tank battle, or not rather a tank battle, but a boss battle here called the Heavy Gunner. And the Heavy Gunner is actually pretty unique in that you have to shoot him on the back. He'll have a little pack on the back of him that takes damage, and the rest of his body actually takes no damage. So you have to actually kite him around in order to gain the upper hand in order to shoot him from behind. A couple of the cool unique things about the game is you have your weapon butt. You can melee with the weapon butt, or you can swap to your weapon altogether. You just your hammer. The weapon butt does less damage. You can also do a sliding kick. So on normal enemies, you can run up and actually slide and kick into them, doing damage, knocking them down, and then you can actually take them out. This chain machine gun guy here reminds me of kind of like Iron Man. As you can see, he's kind of got that crest in the back of him. This guy here is just with this Gatling gun just mowing us down. Moving him around in circles is the best bet for everybody as we reload, etc. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the experience in the PvE, and the PvP was just fun as well. They have different PvP modes as well, free for all. You have your team deathmatch, etc. We didn't really get too much into any unique modes in PvP, but the map design was quite good. There is different upgrades or additional things that you can carry with yourself, like Claymore, C4, etc. So you can kind of, it's not just gun action. You can also use other types of weapons, etc. to take out the enemies here. And I'm doing a lot of work to his backpack there with my Scar. But other than having your typical health packs as well, you also have armor, which you can upgrade, etc. So you can take more hits besides your HP. And that was a bad idea. I'm trying to take this guy out with a hammer. Terrible idea. Now, what you saw right there that says, do you want to use a coin? That is one additional little system available in the game, where essentially you can pay with in-game currency, just with in-game currency, to purchase these coins, which these coins will allow you to revive on the spot. You don't have to actually wait for a teammate to revive. Now, for the purpose of the demo, we had unlimited coins, and it's unclear as to whether or not there'll be a cooldown on the use of coins. But again, this is PvE. Coins aren't available in PvP. So when you got to think about it, the PvE aspects of the game, it's more fun to revive and keep playing with your friends rather than everybody just dying over and over. So we'll see as to whether or not that becomes a cash up item that you can also buy. But for now in the game, it was mentioned as just something you can purchase with in-game currency to kind of like, pick you up and continue on the free-to-play missions with the PvE missions without having to wait for a teammate to actually get in. Anyways, guys, that is the Warface video coverage that I was able to get from this year's E3. If you guys want to learn more about Warface, do check down below at MMOHut.com for the full information. This has been Spunkify. I'll see you guys later. Spunkify out.